Howdy, folks. It is me again, here for another episode of Sticks-n-Stonez Show. Live from Restream, wonderful patio, the No Shoes Bar and Grill, here deep in the heart of the Republic of Texas. Tell you what, one thing that I do find irritating as hell, and that is how hard it is to watch a freaking football game on Saturday and Sunday. How many different things you have to buy to be able to watch a football game. Used to, you just turned on the channel and played. But when they scrapped the free signals, now you can't even get ABC, NBC, CBS without something extra, even if you live in a huge metropolitan area. You know, I grew up out in the country. I still had 4 channels, and I could watch football on 3 of them. Actually, I think I had 5 channels. I could watch football on 4 of them. But anyway, I do actually have managed to figure out how to get a game on. I'm not sure which game it is. The Redskins, I know they're not the Redskins anymore, but they're the Redskins. And the Buccaneers keep popping up. I guess that's the one they're going to be sticking with. But anyway, it's just irritating. I'll probably write more about it as we go along. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and get this show on the road for the recording. So just bear with me for a moment. Hey, Stoners. Welcome to another edition of Sticks and Stones. I'm your host, the Bourbon Baron, Brent Elrod, coming to you from the patio here at the No Shoes Bar and Grill, deep in the heart of the Republic of Texas. I tell you what, it is an absolutely beautiful day here in North Texas. This is one of those times where it's between being blazing hot in the summer and being cold in the winter, that it is just wonderfully pleasant, and you enjoy being outside. I'm sorry, I'm crinkling shit in the background, stuff in the background. But anyway, I sometimes forget how sensitive these microphones are. So I have a pairing that I think you are going to love. Now, I did tickle about this cigar several days ago, and even though it hasn't been sitting in my humidor for very long, I smoked one, and it was just a wonderful experience. So I'm like, I got to get this thing recorded here real quick. I don't want to be messing around. So anyway, I am pairing. This is a bourbon that I've never had before. Bardstown Origin Series, and I am pairing that with a Rocky Patel LB1. I think it's going to be a really great pairing. So right after this, we're going to pop the cork, cut the stick, and get to toasting. Now, I guess you could kind of say the theme today is white labels. They should go very well together because, as those of you on live stream can see, those labels are really, really close. I like it. It coordinates. You know, we are all about coordinating. So anyway, now the Bardstown Origin Series, this is a straight bourbon. It is distilled at Bardstown in Kentucky. It is 48% alcohol by volume, 96 proof. It's aged for 6 years. And the Bardstown Distillery, that is in Bardstown, Kentucky. So this particular bottle, it says it all. I mean, I'll show you here on the live stream. I'll show you folks. It tells you that, doesn't tell you the exact month, but it says that it was It was distilled in the fall of 2017, so 7 years ago, aged 6 years. And it does have some very beautiful frosting on the back of it. I like that. It's a really nice bottle. I have never tried these. I am really looking forward to it. Now, the mash bill is 60% corn, so I'm expecting a pretty decent note of sweetness, but it's 36% rye, so it's also going to have some spice to it. And then the remaining 4% is malted barley, and you can hear squirt my little electric pool cleaner every so often in the background. Sorry about that, but he's doing his job. He's working, so I'm not gonna fiddle with him. But I am going to go ahead and glass some of this up so we can take a look at it. Love those cork pops. I really like that bottle. Now, as those of you on live stream can see, this has a very, very beautiful golden color to it. It does actually have some tinges of red or copper in it, but it is just a really beautiful spirit, and you may be able to see the legs on it. It's got some really good legs, cleans the glass really well. Now on the nose, and the first thing I get is just this big waft of creamy vanilla sweetness. That's before you get anything else. I pick up some oak, some summer fruits like apple and pear, maybe a hint of citrus zest, and maybe really more along the line specifically, maybe orange. There's a little bit of peppercorn, some caramel, and then a little bit of like stone fruit, like plums or apricots or something like that, kind of floating around there in the background. Now, on the palate, that has got a really, really wonderful mouthfeel to it. It's a little oily, or a little thicker, I guess you'd say, a little more viscous on your tongue than some other spirits are, but it's not heavily that way. It's just a little bit, just enough to kind of keep it on your tongue for a few extra moments. You get a really good dose of the rye spice. There's also some creamy notes to it, some baking spices, not any one particular spice, but just a little conglomeration of cinnamon and nutmeg and allspice, all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of like pie crust, baked pie crust. I love pie crust. I love pie. I love pie. And then there is a nice sweetness to it because of that 60% corn ratio. That is really an outstanding spirit. I have looked at the Bardstown's bottles for a while. Finally broke down and bought one, and now I'm wondering, why did I wait so long? I could already be into some of their other bottles by now, instead of just their original base offering or whatever. And then I forgot to tell you after that drink's about to finish. So let me try another little sip here. The finish is a little leathery. There is some, more rye spice on your tongue. There's some oak notes, a little bit of pepper, and again with that kind of light vanilla-y sweetness. That is just, to me, that's a really, really good spirit. I mean, it is really good. I'm really kicking myself for not trying it sooner. Anyway, let's move on. Now, the Rocky Patel LB1. This particular stick is a Nicaraguan binder around a Honduran, Yamastram, and Nicaraguan Condega and Esteli tobaccos. And that is all cloaked in a Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. And it is a medium strength cigar. This particular stick is the Toro version. It is a 6x52 on the ring gauge, medium, kind of a medium to full strength, if I hadn't already said that. Now, visually, it is, as those of you on live stream can see, you can lean back in because this is getting recorded for audio too. It is a beautiful, like chocolate brown. I think there's a little bit of a light sheen to it, not much. The veins, I mean the seams are basically invisible. There's some moderate veining, and it does have a very large triple cap. Now, on the nose, I get some apples, cocoa, a little bit of black pepper. There's a little bit of like lemon zest on the nose. There's some cedar. And there's this is going to be kind of long, but there is a really kind of malty vanilla espresso creaminess to it. Well, it's a lot of things all together, but almost like what you would consider a like a latte or something like that. It's not espresso, but it's also kind of this kind of creamy vanilla, a little bit of sweet in it kind of thing. All right, let's give it a cut. Very beautiful V-cut. I'm utilizing my Seacar V-cutter. I've been carrying that one for quite a while. Now, on the cold draw, I get some notes of pepper. There is a kind of a malty creaminess to it, and there's also a little cedar and possibly a little bit of apple kind of hanging around in the background. Now it's got a very easy draw to it. I believe I mentioned that fact when I test smoked one of these the other day. But we're going to go ahead and fire it up. And this is just as good as it was the other day. As you can tell, I think you can probably tell on the live stream, this thing puts off a tremendous amount of smoke. I really love the smoke production. There's I may be kind of getting ahead of myself, but there's a little tanginess on the retro. But as far as the palate, you get a lot of the same notes that you got on the nose. There is some apples in there, kind of creamy vanilla. There's some, a mix of like baking spices, a little bit of wood to it. You always want to put some wood to it, as she said. All right. We're going to try them together. Oh, yeah. That is, these two are really going to go well together, I can already tell. This is going to be a wonderful pairing. You've got the kind of the creaminess and the rye spice, and there's some baking spices in there, and a nice sweetness coming off the Bardstown. And then you are mixing that with the malt and the cedar and the vanilla and the spices, and I think there's even a little bit of like dried fruit in there. And man, they really go great together. It's like a really great cup of coffee and a really great pastry, and everything just kind of fuses together. And you have to have the particular coffee. It can't just be Folgers or not that there's anything against that. Just say it. You got to have something special, like a Kenya Double A or well, Kenya Double A is that's my peak right there. Even though, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Blue Mountain or Kona or anything like that, but Kenya Double A to me is just one of the best coffees, and you can really put that together with some excellent pastries. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. Yeah, those are just, I mean, the Bardstown, there's almost no alcohol burn to it at all. It is super smooth. I'm really surprised. I was just like, I will see how it goes, but that you're actually getting the first fresh review of Bardstown for me, and that is a really good spirit. It's really good. Definitely going to have to try some of the other ones. And as I said, I am sitting out here on my at the No Shoes Bar and Grill in my usual stool, and I am watching. What am I watching now? They switch games on me. Anyway, I'm watching the NFL, and I was complaining before I hit record on you for you audio folks, and my microphone keeps sliding down to pull it up like it's a drawstring on my cowboy hat. But I was griping about how difficult it is nowadays to just watch a football game on Saturday or Sunday. It's like trying to pull teeth with little bitty wire pliers. I mean, it's like you have all these different apps, all of them require money, and like I was watching, I can't which app I was on, but I was gonna watch the Redskins and the Buccaneers, and I watched a few minutes of it, and then I came out here to get set up and was going to turn it back on again, and it says your preview has ended. I'm like, I only watched like 10 minutes. What the hell? You don't get like a full game. You get like warm-ups. So anyway, it's just we are so far. It's good and bad. We are so far removed from the days when you could just have an antenna sticking up above your house. Now then everything is apps and streaming and all that kind of stuff, and it's good and bad. It's good and bad. I really was surprised that they got rid of just being able to receive the 3 major networks. Now then you even have to have a special antenna for that. I haven't bought one yet. So I hardly ever, ball games are about the only thing I ever watch on network TV. I'm watching the Travel Channel, Destination America. I'm into Expedition and Expedition X and Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, all that kind of stuff. I hardly ever watch like series anymore. One thing I am going to do is I bought 5-pack of these, and smoked one the other day. Kind of said a little bit about it online, and so I got excited and wanted to pair this with the Bardstown. But I'm going to take those other 3 and I'm going to let them sit in a humidor for about 6 months, and then I'm going to smoke another one and just see what it does to it, see if it changes it, because generally the longer you leave it in your humidor, if you keep your humidor right, your cigars will get better with age. You know, usually when you get them straight from being shipped, they may be good, but that may benefit from that extra time. So, but I tell you what, all of you that are on the audio on this listening later on, you're not going to know anything has changed, but I'm going to go ahead and put y'all on hold and keep going with my live stream, folks, and hopefully not mess up like I did last time and have to start a second recording on audio. That really chapped my chitlins. So I will be back with you audio folks here shortly. All right, there we go. I'm just sitting here talking to the screen. I could just keep talking to them, but I'm like, it's different when it's live. That is just a really, really good burn line. And that, even though we're only only the tip, even just because, the hell am I saying? Even though we have only just, I know what I'm trying to say. Even though we have only gotten past the tip, really nice stacks of just beautiful white ash. And we'll just go ahead, since I screwed that all up, and let the tip go on by. I will say something completely off topic, but it was the excitement of my day, even though it's not, happy excitement, and that is Mrs. Sticks-n-Stonez had taken our 95-pound Shetland pony, our lab, to some woods to go, investigate. She loves going and looking at stuff like that. Of course, Sadie just loves it. She gets a chance to run in the woods. But anyway, well, I didn't go. I went yesterday, so we went somewhere else and explored. But I didn't go today, and our youngest daughter, she was working, 14 years old, she's got a job. Our 15-year-old, she's got a job. You got to teach them how to work. When you ask my girls what's free in this world, they'll tell you nothing. Somebody pays for it. But anyway, so I had just pulled up where both our youngest daughters work, and I had just gotten in the parking place. Mrs. Sticks-n-Stonez calls me crying. I'm like, oh my God, what's happened? And she's like, I've lost my keys in the woods and I can't find them. And so I was texting, because our youngest was only like 15 minutes from getting off. So I just texted her and I said, hey, your mom's lost the keys. I got to go help her. We're going to be late. She's like, that's fine. Okay, whatever. And she never did find them. But the whole point of all of that was the benefit of the new Apple tags. I asked for those last Christmas, and I got a set of 4, and I got a wallet that it has a mount on it, so you can put one of them on there. So I've got one on my wallet and one on my key ring, and they're synced up to both my phone, which you're watching me on, and my iPad, which is down here below me, or below you, where my notes are from the stick. And so if I lost my keys in the woods, I could go to my phone, be like, where's my keys? And it would take me right to them. So it's actually a really good thing. And I had 2 more tags. I wish I had given one to Mrs. Sticks-n-Stonez. I didn't even cross my mind. But she always keeps her keys in her purse. You know, it's the way women are. Keep the keys in her purse. And I never did think about it. But so now, you may try to go back out and retrace steps. We're talking in the woods with leaves and sticks and briars, and there ain't no telling where they are. But anyway, that was my excitement. But as soon as I heard her tearing up, I dropped everything. She is my world. Back to the cigar and the spirit. One thing is, you know how much I love, and it kind of, when I picked it up, smoke kind of moved, but it was, you know, it's just hanging in there, just like a fog on a lake on a nice, cool fall morning. Mm. But these are going very, very well together. There's really not much change in the stick yet. We're probably about an inch in, but I figure there'll probably be, we'll may have some things to add as we go along. All right, we're switching ball games. I hardly can even keep up. We started off with the Redskins and the Buccaneers, and then we went to Denver and Seattle, and then we split screened with Dallas and whoever it is they're playing. It's already now gone off. We're now back to Denver and Seattle. Whew. I remember Jim Zorn. He played with Seattle. I always liked him. He was a great receiver. To me, he was. You know, I'm not saying he was the greatest receiver. I'm just saying I thought he was a really great receiver back then. Now, I will definitely say, I think, you know, they list this as a medium full stick. I really think it's probably more along the lines of a medium, but it may ramp up as we go along. I'm going to have a little bit of other liquid refreshment here. Very good. Very good. Oh, now we're back to Washington and Tampa Bay. Good Lord. And these are all in the first quarter. Usually they'll do this stuff. Well, looks like Dallas and Cleveland's the second quarter, but and Washington, Tampa Bay just went to halftime. Goodness gracious! If you're ADD, this is a great channel, whatever this is, to be watching because it is just flipping around like crazy. I know there are several other offerings from Bardstown. I definitely think those are going to be worth looking for. Trying to remember. I really think that I only paid like $65 or maybe $70 on the Bardstown. It may not have been that much, but I think that's probably about right. And for as good as this is, you know, it's really good. And there is really no harshness to the stick at all. And that's why I was saying that I want to leave the other 3 sitting in the humidor for about 6 months and just see what happens to them. Because if it's this good new, what's it going to be like when it gets experience? And just keeps putting off just tremendous amounts of smoke. Wonderful. As you can see, still just keep piling up those beautiful stacks of white ash. Got to keep an eye on it. When I was smoking the one yesterday, whatever that one was, HC Habano, HC Habano. Yeah, it dropped off in my lap. And I'd been thinking about I need to go ahead and just tap this off because, you know. I saw the other day, one day this week, that was one of the resorts out in Colorado. First snow of the year. Winter's around the corner. Well, I mean, you know, winter here in Texas is different. North Texas, not much of it. If we get one wintry event a year, that's probably about average. And a lot of times it doesn't even like stick to the roads. You'll get like a dusting of stuff on the grass, and that'll be about it. Although in the dozen or so years that I've lived here in Texas, the first couple of years had a couple of significant events. I remember one, probably would have been December of 2013 or so, like shut the city down for like 4 or 5 days. There was like a ½ inch of ice on the road plus all this snow on top of it. That's probably the biggest one since I've been here. I don't know. We had one though, Winter Storm Uri. That was, you know, probably the worst one, and that was 4 years ago. Yeah, that one was terrible. That one got the downstairs of my house remodeled though. We got a lot of damage. Hmm. Yeah, this has really turned out to be a great event. Uh, the kind of creamy, vanilla, um, malty goodness from both offerings are really kind of fitting together very well. And actually, I don't really think I've mentioned this, but if you go back and listen to my review of each one individually a few minutes ago, they both do have a little bit of citrus zest in them. That's really nice. I love citrus. You know, it's tropical. I actually have a lime tree. It's not very big, but it's a year old. It survived last winter. Uh, I've got it in a pot, and so when it got really, really cold, I'd bring it and put it here next to the windows and wrap a blanket, a freeze blanket around it. And then that way, my hope is that some of the heat from the house that radiates out through the glass kind of helped keep it warm, and it survived. It's done very well. Actually, the limes so far have been really, really small, but I've gotten probably a half a dozen. So the people, we just had our roof replaced, and the roofers broke 2 limbs off of it, and it was 2 biggest limbs. I wasn't happy because those 2 limbs had all the blooms on them thus far. All right, you can see, so I'm holding it up. It's got a little bit of crook to it. So I'm going to go ahead and tap it off because I don't want it to fall in my lap. I know I see those people and they want to like smoke it all the way down to like here. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't make it work that way. It'll end up falling in my lap and I'll be cursing. And you do get that kind of tangy, citrusy, zesty uh, on the, I won't say aroma, but on the retro inhale. Uh, I'm not sure I've ever really had a cigar do that before. Generally, the notes that you get on the retro are more like spicy notes, uh, pepper, spices, things of that nature. Uh, but yeah, there's a little bit of a citrus zest on it. But this is I I can't really find a fault in the cigar thus far. I really can't find a fault in the bourbon. Uh, I don't know that I'm ready to say, oh, these are 100. No, you know, mm, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And I really have been trying to get more critical here lately on the scores that I give because I want my scores to actually mean something. And if everything's a 90 or a 95, uh, I need to go ahead and like, dude's wearing cowboy boots. Uh, I do need to go ahead. He's wearing a suit. That's why I said that. It's anyway. Um, Maybe get a whole rating system together where I can take down all my numbers and add them all up, that kind of thing. Right now, it just kind of rolls around in my head, and I think, oh, I think it's about this. But I did say that I was going to start being a lot more loosey-goosey on the pairings, because I was like really being, kind of serious and uh, putting a whole lot into it. I found that it's a much more relaxing. Just let it flow. Wherever you might be watching live stream from, I am streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter, which I'm ready to just go ahead and stop that part of it and just say X. If you don't know by now that X used to be Twitter, you've been living in a cave. How would you even know Twitter existed? But anyway, I'm on X, I'm on YouTube, and I think it's Threads. I can't remember what. Maybe it's not Insta. Anyway, uh, I've really been migrating more and more to X. They don't give you as many problems. It's like I posted earlier this week. It was a picture. I posted several like little video clips, and so they had kind of piled up over a few days. But I noticed my notifications on Twitter. I clicked on this thing, and it had all four of those listed, and we couldn't monetize those because it is against our rules. Yeah. Okay. So I've been trying to pull away from Instagram, which is Threads too. But I do actually like Threads better because it's much easier to post stuff on there. Uh, every time I try to post something on Insta, like I use Buffer, and Buffer allows me to post one post at three different places at a time. And I stopped doing it. I stopped including Insta and started including Threads along with X and Facebook, simply because every time I tried to go to post a picture that I had taken with my phone, it was like it's not the size that going to have to resize it. And Threads, even though it's done by Insta, doesn't give me that problem because the whole reason for using Buffer is so that you can make one post to all these different places. If I have to go and stop and resize the picture and then come back, then why am I using it? By that time, I could have posted it on all three individually. So, but unfortunately, Insta is where I have most of my followers. So, tell your friends, tell your family to stop watching me on Insta and migrate over to X. I'd like to use rumble. But I literally have to bring my laptop computer out here with me every time. So I don't really care about that. And I'm going to try something while I got y'all here. We're almost at the halfway mark, so we'll get back to cigars in just a minute. But I had been working on adding in a little bit of background music, and it wasn't working. So we'll try it again. I don't hear it. I don't know if you do or not, but we'll just leave it like that for now. When I was playing around with it, I was trying to get the volume low enough that it was just kind of in the background, but it was still, audible, because you got the pool running and the wind blowing and all manner of stuff going on. So anyway. I am going to have to glass up just a little bit more of this. Just a wee drop. All right. Just another minute or two, and we're gonna jump in at the halfway mark, and I'm pretty sure that the last half probably gonna be a little bit shorter. And this is a great stick, that it's a darker stick compared to like a Connecticut, where you normally tell the the newbies you need to start with something like a Connecticut, like a really light wrapper. This says medium to full. I'm thinking medium. I think they were a little bit ambitious on the full, and I think this would be a really great stick for somebody that is new to cigars, or maybe they've been doing the Connecticut thing and they're ready to start kind of advancing. Because generally, the darker the stick, the stronger it is, and that can lead to some things you don't want. If you're a newbie, it can turn you off cigars altogether, because you'll be like, this really made me sick. I don't want to do this anymore. I've had that a couple of times, but by then I've been doing it a while. Matter of fact, I got nauseous on one here just a few weeks ago, but I'm like, I've been doing this for how many years now? Slow down. That was what I got out of it. I smoked it too fast. Speaking of smoking too fast and Rocky Patel, which is what I happen to have in my hand, I really love the Rocky Patel Royale, Royale, Royale. It is a great stick. It has a super, super easy draw, and I have smoked 2 or 3 of those, and I'm talking just in like the last 5 or 6 years. I've been smoking cigars for 20, and every one of them made me nauseous, and I think it was just because the draw was so easy. I was overdrawing, and even after it happened to me, I went back and did exactly the same thing again. I'm really thinking that I'd like to try it again, because it's a really, really great stick, but you have to be easy on it. And I have to go back and look also and see what sizes it's available in. Maybe I could find a shorter size so I don't overdo it. Because I'd really love to pair that one with something, but I haven't yet. Oh, there was a fellow wearing a Stetson Open Road in his suit on the sidelines. My great-grandfather lived to be 91, 92, smoked cigars, was in World War I. He wore a Stetson Open Road every day. You never saw him without it. He'd come out of his bedroom in the morning, he'd have his Stetson on. I wish I had been old enough to have imparted some of his stories from him before he left us, because I'm sure he had a whole bunch of them. He was born in I think 1894, and in 1912 he was attached to General Blackjack Pershing's expedition in Mexico and Texas to round up Pancho Villa. I'm sure he had a whole lot of stories he could have told, but I was young and probably wasn't listening to half of what he said, and now I regret it. I've got a picture of him in his Army uniform, little pocket watch picture. It's only about that big, and I love that picture. It's in. I don't even have it displayed anywhere. It is in my firebox, so that nothing can happen to it. So I think we are at like the halfway mark. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get these other people back in here. Howdy, folks. I saw the timer start flicking numbers forward, so I knew I did it right. Let me tell you, if y'all hadn't been watching the live stream, you should have, because we're really having a good time over here. You're getting to hear all kinds of stuff that have nothing to do with cigars and spirits. But as far as the cigar and the spirit goes, the stick, now that we're well into it, I mean, we're at the halfway mark, which this stick, so you're talking a good 3 inches in. That's what she said. It's brought in some chocolate and maybe even some raisins. I think I mentioned early on there was some like dried fruit in there. I'm kind of getting that raisiny, kind of muted sweetness. There's a little bit of bread dough to go along with the kind of creamy, malty, vanilla, cedar, all those different things, and it's melding very, very well with the cedar, with the vanilla and the sweetness and the fruits that are in the Bardstown. I have been so pleasantly surprised at how well these two have gone together. It was almost like I knew what I was doing. But, what do they say? Ever so often, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. And that's what she said. But these two are going very, very well together. I will say that in the stick, kind of the spicier, like black pepper, that kind of thing, is kind of muted back, and it's been kind of overtaken by that chocolate raisin bread dough kind of concoction going on. So I'm going to go ahead and burn this down to the band, and I will come back and give you an update. See? Easy peasy. I tell you, there'll be people, they'll be like, oh, you need to quit smoking those nasty things. You ain't never had one. Those things are going to give you cancer. No. Cigars are different. Cigars are natural. The only thing they do to a cigar, other than roll it, is dry it. Hang it up, let it dry. Dry it out really good, and then they have these little Nicaraguan, Dominican people, whatever, they're rolling them. I love watching those videos of these people rolling cigars. I'm like, there is no way. I rolled a cigar, it would come out looking terrible. Not even terrible, terrible. Watch them do it, and they got those little curved blades, and they'll be making these cuts so that the leaf has got a curved edge to it, and then it rolls up just right. Then they go and they slap the caps on them, like this one is a triple cap. It is just, it's amazing to watch. And then I was watching one video here a little while back, and this lady was just rolling cigars like crazy. And she had a cigar, I don't know that I've ever seen, I guess I have seen one. I saw Uh, Flathead. It's one of the Flathead series, and it was like a 7x70. I wouldn't even smoke it. I was like, I bought it, but then after I got to looking at it, I'm like, you wasted your money on that one because you know you're not going to smoke that. I know my limitations, and that was it. But she had one like that. I mean, we're talking like this big and like that big around, just hanging out of her mouth while she was rolling cigars. Puffing on it just like that. She was a great puffer. Telling you, the LB1 is, I would say it's probably highly underrated because I'd never even heard of the LB1s until I happened to see it show up in one of my, I don't know, scrolling through one of the cigar sites looking for sticks, and I'm like, there's a Rocky Patel I haven't seen. Now, there are some of the aficionados that they don't like the fact that Rocky has so many different kinds of blends, because just like this stick has got a Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan and Honduran fillers, and then it's wrapped in an Ecuadorian Sumatra. I think Sumatra. No, that didn't sound right coming out. Habano, Ecuadorian Habano. I was going to say the Sumatra didn't sound right. But you know, they do all of these different things with these sticks. And he is one of the like premier people for blends. He blends all kinds of stuff. If you go to like Plasencia has some excellent cigars, but they have like 5 blends. That's it. They're like, we're going to stick with what works. And they do have some really great sticks. I really want to try the one, I think it's the Alma del Fuego. Anyway, it's very sharp. I will call it box press, but it's not a box. It's like stop sign. It's got like 8 sides to it. And I really want to try that cigar, but it's like $28. And I'm like, that's a lot for a cigar. I can get, matter of fact, I'm not even sure I paid $28 for this 5-pack of these LB1s. It's about that. I would try to blow smoke rings, but as you just saw, that whip around, ceiling fans on, it wouldn't work. I can do it ever so often, but not really well. I'm not a good blower. It is not my forte. And I will say that as I've been smoking this stick, the one, not this one, but another one I smoked yesterday, I believe. It was a pretty good, I mean, it stayed together pretty well. But as I smoked it, it started kind of heating up inside. I did have some splitting on the wrapper. This one, there's none of that. This is a very, very well constructed cigar, typical of Rocky Patel. He expects the best as far as quality, and he makes, in my opinion, some of the best cigars. My go-to for years, and I still have a dozen or so in my humidor right now in different sizes, the vintage 1990. I have 2 5-pack. It's like a Ziploc bag. It's really made for individual 5-pack sale. And, so it's all decorated up and everything. It's not like just a Ziploc bag. But they haven't. I've had them in my humidor for several years. I've never even cracked them open. I have another size that I still have like 3 sticks left, and that's the ones I've been smoking. And the 1990s are still, one of my favorites. But as you expand out and you get to trying all these different things, you do realize, it's been a while since I smoked one of those, because you're always looking for new things. You can't just come out every week and what am I gonna pair with the vintage 1990 this week? Doesn't work like that. You got to have new stuff, or people aren't going to watch you. And I may be completely boring. I don't know. There's a few people watching right now. I can tell. I still have not figured out the whole message thing. I use Restream, so I have Restream pulled up on my phone, and I can see what I'm doing here, but I can't see comments. And if you're watching on like YouTube, you may be making comments over there, but I can't see it because I'm not on YouTube. So it's I'm not the most technologically savvy, put it that way. I do okay. I am my mom's IT department, and that doesn't work really well. It's hard for me to understand what she's saying, visualize what she's saying, and figure out a resolution for her. I'm not the little guys and got the little headphones on, and you tell them what's wrong, and they click some buttons on there, and it gives you, well, here's these canned answers of what it could be. No. So, and then you'll tell her to do things. She's like, I don't see that. I'm going through the steps exactly like you should be going through the steps, and I see it. I don't know what to tell you. So, love my mom. She's funny. We're getting close. We're getting there. Wow. 57 minutes. I can't believe all you folks have stayed on this long. Tells me maybe I'm doing a little something right. I hope one day to be interviewed by Joe Rogan. That I think he's a cigar smoker. Of course, he'll talk about cigars every so often, but his program is not about cigars. But I like listening to him, and I know he does talk cigars with people sometimes, and especially if it's somebody that does smoke cigars like he does, they'll sit there in his studio, which I think is in Austin, Texas now, and they'll smoke cigars and just talk about stuff. I'd love to just be able to go completely unscripted like that, and just be able to say what I thought about whatever he wanted to talk about. I think it'd be entertaining. It's hard for me to do that now because I need somebody to work off of. I just have to think about what pops in my head. That may not always be the best thing to talk about. Can't remember if I said or not. I think I said there was moderate veining in this, and there is. And I just noticed this. I don't know why I just noticed it. Maybe it's from my teeth. But there's a little spot right about there. That looks kind of weird. But anyway, I definitely do believe that the V-cut was the way to go for this one. That's mostly what I use on pretty much every cigar. There are some cigars like the Java Red Label box press that is square pressed. and so it's square, even back at the heel, the part that you put in your mouth. That's what she said. It's really hard to V-cut that. I'm giving you some really great little just cigar stuff, because the V-cutter, as you can tell, it has that indentation. Ow, that hurt my shoulder. And that's where the V-cut is. It's hard to fit that square peg in that round hole, she said. So I will normally just punch cut that. And you really, I think that one would be even hard to guillotine cut, which I rarely ever use. It's nice. I've got a Cassetti multi-cutter that's got a V-cut slot, a guillotine slot, and it's got a little punch like is on this lighter. That's for the punch cut. But because of the way it's shaped and square and so sharp at the edges, it's hard to guillotine cut too, so I just punch it. But 90 or 95% of the cigars that I smoke are V-cut. I just like it that. I like it like that. It allows enough airflow so that even on a little bit tougher draw, I'm able to enjoy the cigar without really feeling like I'm having to suck a really, really thick milkshake through a straw, where it like collapses the straw. I've had that happen before. I love milkshakes. Now we're on San Diego Chargers and Las Vegas Raiders. How many different cities has the Raiders been in? That's amazing. My Aggies won yesterday, so we're not going to be shut out this season. We lost the week before to Notre Dame. They were the number 6 team in the country, and at the time we were number 13. No, we weren't even that. We were like number 20. Maybe we were 13. Anyway, come Monday morning last week, we were not. We had fallen completely out of the rankings, which is not surprising. They always do that. They over-expect the Aggies at the beginning of the season, and generally after the first tough game, they're like, okay, we screwed that up. They shouldn't even be ranked. But I love my Aggies. And it was 52-10. Of course, they were playing McNeese, I think. McNeese. They got a couple more. I think they're going to be 8-4 this season. Maybe there's some of those 8 that they could end up losing. But the SEC is just tough. You know, I know the Texas folks. I hate burnt orange. The Texas folks have been. They've been crowing about their wins. I'm like, you ain't got into SEC play yet. You just wait until somebody like Mizzou or Vanderbilt comes in and just kicks your ass. It happens. It's a whole different ball game. This is your first year in the SEC, and you've had 2 patsies so far. Giving it a little touch because it had gotten just a hair of a wave. You know, it's one of those things where it's been so sharp, the entire smoke, that all of a sudden that little bitty notch bothered me. I will say that this stick is kind of now, as we're getting closer to the end, it's now like coming in for a landing. You know, it's kind of coasting along. No real big changes, but there's been a little bit of change to it. And now, as we got there in the middle, we were more into the like chocolate and sweetness and that kind of stuff. Now there is just a little bit of tartness, probably that citrusy kind of zest in the beginning is now coming back again, kind of on the back of your tongue. Some pipe place just posted their first post on Threads. Popped up right above where you are. So, all right. I know we still have like 3/4 of an inch or so, but I think we can probably call this. So let me get the other folks back in here real quick. You'll really want to re-listen to this because it will be like 25 minutes as opposed to an hour and 5 minutes, and you will get just the cigar and spirit stuff. So, but I hope you do enjoy all the kind of rabbit trailing I do during the whole thing. I hope that has become something that is enjoyable for all of those folks. Me and my Stetson and my Republic of Texas shirt, the only state that used to be its own country. I actually think it should be that way again. Now that I'm here, I say we should just drop the bridges over the Red River and tell everybody else y'all can have it. We'll just put a fence around the whole thing. We've already got fence along a lot of the southern border now, and just put a fence around the rest of it. So I had some guy tell me one time, he's like, there's no way that could work because there's no way Texas brings in enough tax revenue by itself. I'm like, well, you got to think. Now, how much tax is being paid to the federal government? Income tax, federal gasoline tax, and federal gasoline tax is high, depending on the state you're in. In some states, it may consider to be low, like California, because California tax is probably more. I don't know. I'm just thinking. But if you got rid of all those federal taxes and then even added back in a smaller amount of state taxes, the people would end up with more money. The government, the state government would end up with more money. Everybody'd be happy. I'm just saying. That's probably one thing I need to do. I need to do like a live stream on stuff like that. Maybe. Because people don't think today the way people thought 200 years ago, 250 years ago. It's like people that, some of the most high-profile people on the southern side of the Civil War, like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. People are like, oh, they're traitors to their country. No. Back then, you were a state citizen first and a country citizen second. Your first duty was the duty to your state. And that's what, Robert E. Lee said to Abraham Lincoln. He was offered the job of commanding general of the Army of the Potomac. And he's like, while I never thought I would fight against my own country, I will never raise my sword to Virginia, because he was a Virginian first. And it's just the way it was. They thought differently back then than we do today. Now you got so many people today that think the federal government should be taking care of everything. Like, well, that didn't work in Russia or Venezuela, where people have been killing zoo animals for food. It just doesn't work. All right, I really rabbit trailed off. We were basically done, and I've already taken a few more puffs. So anyway, let's bring the other folks back in so we can wrap this up. Howdy, folks. We are basically down to the band, and our glass is just about empty. Let me tell you, this has been an excellent experience. If you get the chance to go back, and I think the live stream stays up for a certain amount of time on Restream before they have to delete it, you can go back and watch the whole thing and see all the stuff that had nothing to do with spirits and cigars, but we had a good time. But anyway, this has been an excellent cigar and an excellent spirit. Actually, I will say, show you folks on live stream, it's still got that, it burns so straight all the way down, and we got down near the band, and now it's got a big hump sticking up. I mean, it's like, it's almost there. But anyway, this has been a wonderful experience. I'm not disappointed in either offering. The cigar, it really kind of calmed down in the last half, and really kind of dominated more with, it had some of the chocolate and kind of the raisins and bread dough stuff there in the middle, but it really brought in a little more cedar and even introduced some leather there towards the end, and then still maintaining some sweetness. And the Bardstown, I could not recommend you try this enough. You really should try the Bardstown Origin Series. That is really a great spirit, and I think, it may not be $20 or $25, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, whatever. It is an excellent spirit that is a very valuable buy at its price. Put it that way. I would give the cigar, I'd give it an 89. No, I'm going to back off that just a little bit. It did kind of give me a wave there at the end. I would say an 86. It was a really great cigar, and I am, you can tell the way I'm talking, I'm just really laboring over this. This is a tough one. But yeah, I would say 86. I wouldn't put it up there with the quality of, a Padron or a Plasencia, or some of the other Rocky Patel offerings. Like I said, the 1990 was my go-to cigar for 10 years or more. But this was a really good cigar, and I would highly recommend that you smoke one or a few. My microphone's falling down again. The Bardstown was excellent. I really could not find much to complain about it with. It was an excellent spirit. Like I said just a second ago, it's a little higher in the price range, but still, it's under $100, so that's not too bad. I would give it an 89. I think it is something that is very much worth the try. You get so many non-age statement whiskeys that will even be up around this price range, somewhere in like the $50 to $75 range. And this is probably one of the best I've had in that range, as far as American style whiskeys, bourbon, Tennessee, Texas, all that kind of stuff. So, but definitely need to try these two. They are great together, really great together. I think the pairing may have even been better than the sum of the individual sums of the parts. So I probably screwed that up too, the way I was saying it. I'm not a math person. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope that you hit like, subscribe, share, notify, all that kind of stuff. Share with your friends. I really, really enjoy getting new people that are brought in by other people. So that means that the word's getting around and folks like me. So until we get to be together again, keep your sticks dry and your stones cold, and have a great day.